In the East Room of the White House on 21 August 1967, Gunnery Sergeant Jimmy Earl Howard stood proudly at attention while President Lyndon B. Johnson placed the blue-starred Congressional Medal of Honor around his neck. He was the 6th U.S. Marine to win the nation's highest award for valor during the Vietnam War. President Johnson praised Howard as a professional Marine who was typical of the men who endure the savage heat of battle abroad so that their countrymen may walk in peace here at home. With tears in his eyes, the grizzled Marine with short-cropped, prematurely graying hair stepped to the microphone to accept the honor and to give credit to the 15 Marines and 2 Navy corpsmen who, with him, defended Hill 488 against an estimated 400 to 450 well-disciplined North Vietnamese Army regulars and Viet Cong main force guerrillas throughout a terror-filled night in June 1966. He began to speak in a hesitant voice. "I don't know how to speak, gentlemen," he said, "but I want to say in all sincerity—" His voice wavered and broke. He finally waved a hand at the survivors of that unbelievable night of horror and courage who were all present for the ceremony. "That's the guys who did it right there." The medal belonged as much to them, he said, as to himself. He took the president by the hand and personally introduced him to each man who lived through that most improbable battle of modern warfare. The defense of Hill 488, also called Nuy Vu Hill, was certainly about individual courage. Men like Howard endured the bitter winter at Valley Forge, stormed the Normandy beaches, fought alongside John F. Kennedy in the Pacific. They faced aggression on the frozen hills of Korea and manned lonely fire bases in Vietnam. But Hill 488 was also something more than individual courage. If the action had centered around only the one man, it might have been considered a unique incident of exceptional bravery by an exceptional man. As it turned out, however, uncommon valor was a common virtue that surmounted the courage of any single individual. That phrase is inscribed on the U.S. Marine Corps War Memorial in Arlington, Virginia, spoken by Admiral Chester Nimitz to describe the heroism of those who fought on Iwo Jima during World War II. It is a maxim that certainly applies to the members of Howard's platoon. 1st Platoon of Charlie Company, 1st Reconnaissance Battalion, 1st Marine Division, became the most highly decorated unit of its size in the entire history of the United States military. Decorations included the Medal of Honor, 4 Navy Crosses, the nation's 2nd highest award for valor, 13 Silver Stars, the 3rd highest valor awards, and 18 Purple Hearts. Every man on the hill was either killed or wounded. Few would have noticed anything unique or particularly special about 1st Platoon before the night of 15-16 June 1966. The men of the platoon were a sampling from places all over the nation: New York, California, Tennessee, New Mexico, Kansas, Texas, Oklahoma. Even though they had been selected and trained for reconnaissance, and 4 were trained snipers, they were in most respects typical American young men, most of whom were recently still in high school. They were an average lot, country and city boys, who underwent the seemingly magical training process by which green recruits become United States Marines. Perhaps this training was their great strength. It allowed them to rise above normal expectations to fight one of the truly great stands in all of history. As one Marine officer stated after studying the after-action reports, "This was an Alamo with survivors." Those who survived, those few, those brave, those Marines, owe it to both individual and group courage. Those who lived and those who died were true American heroes.